for Monolog, and in this week, um, I began to question myself a lot after receiving feedback from Connor and from Keelan. So initially, my problem statement was to design and create an object to increase the comfort levels for hand milking after animal reproduces. So the design should be transportable, comfortable, lightweight, and require all the equipment to carry out the process. Um, but on reflection, I kind of began to wonder, was I really addressing a social and an environmental aspect? So I always knew my kind of environmental aspect was weak. My environmental aspect dealt with just the upcycling material, and which was weak when we were given the example in the lecture of bees. So the bees in the lecture, as they were saying in the lecture, is are depleting. So if you were to create an artifact for the bees, it'd be solving the environmental issue and the social aspect of the actual beekeepers. So I went back to my need finding once again and the interviews that I conducted with farmers and said what were the problems that we identified. The main one was heavy lifting. So as we see, most farmers, probably in Ireland and the world, suffer from pains and aches, and 90%, a lot of it's due to heavy lifting, and the heavy workload. So even from my own personal experience, my own father suffers from pains and needles every day. It's a constant battle, and that is due to heavy lifting. Um, so what I was thinking was, over the weekend, I'd look back at my need finding. Maybe I'd change it or adjust it for the heavy lifting problem. If I could come up with a few initial ideas, that revolved around the heavy lifting, and over the weekend, and was able to produce them Monday for my lab Monday, and to get feedback off Connor and Richie. But as well, I was thinking for this heavy lifting, these slides could act as like a little story or of information packet to farmers as to the correct lifting procedures, what weights they should be lifting, let's say on their own, with help, with mechanical help such as a tractor or loader. So really this week was kind of frustrating because I was just constantly questioning what I'd done and where was I going, was it good enough? But I'm happy that I'm doing it at this stage rather than later down the line. At least I'd prefer to get an idea that solved the environmental issue and a social issue, and I was happy with it rather than just kind of driving ahead, just trying to get into the making process, and really then struggling trying to link it back to social or environmental issue. So that's my plan for my Monday lab, is to have my need finding, whether I stick with this idea or move on to heavy lifting, and have initial ideas created. I have initial ideas of this one already created, but can receive feedback on them. But if I move on to heavy lifting, initial ideas of that created, and feedback received in relation to all that.